Well, you know what? You pressed play and you did the right thing, Suns fans. We here at the Suns Jam Session podcast have another fantastic show lined up for you. Free agent frenzy's been going wild for the past couple of days, and it's really hard to keep up with everything. So we're going to try to do our best to obviously take a look at what the Suns have done in free agency and what that impact is to the roster heading into the 2020-2021 season. But we're also going to try to take a look at what the other teams have done around the league, try to catch everything up, and see if teams around the league have either gotten stronger, gotten weaker, or stayed the same. So welcome, as always, to the Suns Jam Session podcast. My name is John. I'm joined by my co-host, and that is Mr. Matthew Lissy. Matthew, welcome to the Suns Jam Session podcast. How you doing tonight, brother?
Hey, what's up, dude? We were partying, right? What a freaking weekend, dude. This Suns team, we got ourselves a ball club. Dude. And I am ecstatic. I'm wearing my wool hat tonight. Actually, it's a toupee, but no Suns hat tonight.
No, yeah, you are going hatless. It's different. You're wearing the colors of the fall, I see.
Yeah.
You're embracing the fact that fall is finally feeling like it's upon us in the Valley of the Sun. So That looks pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, the fans have been asking. They're like, let's see that toupee. And I'm like, all right. I got it out of the closet, dusted it off, put it on.
Well, I mean, so much has been going on, man. I mean, trying to find your toupee in the closet must have been as hard as trying to figure out everything that's going on as far as free agency is concerned across the NBA. It's definitely been one of those weekends where if you have your Woj and your Shams notifications on Twitter, it's constantly going on, and it's almost like a little treat you're unpacking every time. Every time a little tweet goes off, you're like, ooh, who went where? Let's see what's shit.
Yeah.
And it was kind of frustrating to begin because the Suns didn't do anything that first night.
Yeah, it was kind of, I don't know, but this time around, dude, I have seriously been so patient with this team. I trust them. Once you get Chris Paul, it's kind of like, let's just wait and see what happens because we got Chris Paul. So I'm still amazed at that. I know we talked about it before, but coming off of that, I am trusting this team even more. So they can do what they want. I will follow them into the darkness.
Yes, in James Jones we trust, and although it might have been a little bit of delay as far as acquiring assets for this team, assets have been acquired. And we're going to go over that in this podcast, as well as, like I said at the beginning, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the different impact that this is going to have on teams throughout the NBA. Remember, as always, Suns fans, to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review, whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher. We appreciate it. The Bright Side of the Sun Podcast Network, both ourselves and Fanning the Flames, we truly appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit subscribe as well, and you can hit the little bell, which will remind you every time that we go live, which is on Thursday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Arizona time. So I think that's everything. You can hit up the show, sunsjamsession.com, or email us, sunsjamsession@gmail.com. But I think that one of our good buddies in the chat, Vincent Stefanelli, what up, fellas squared? I got to say, what up,
What up, fellas?
Never gets old.
Never gets old.
Perfect.
We're going to be embracing this. If you don't like that, you might as well just stop tuning in because we're going to be playing that all season long. Matthew, are you going to crack open a beer with me on this beautiful Sunday night? What do you got there?
Look at that. This is a vintage Coors Light. Where's my camera?
Ooh,
there it
Coors.
is. Look at that. Coors Light.
Coors. Well,
yeah, sorry.
Have you heard of that show on Netflix called Cobra Kai?
Yes. You got me into that show. I love that show.
I actually just started watching. I know it's been out for 2 seasons, and the 3rd season is actually coming out on January 8th. But in it, Johnny Lawrence, who fought Ralph Macchio's character, LaRusso, in the original Karate Kid, Johnny Lawrence drinks a lot of these Coors Banquet beers. And I've become obsessed with these Coors Banquet beers ever since then. So,
are you flipping your caps everywhere like him too?
Yeah,
I don't know how he does that.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy stuff. I'll show you. You nerd. Come on, man. Be badass.
All right. Well, I know.
Well, let's pop open beers.
All right.
Let's talk Phoenix Suns, baby. Well, free agency began on 4 p.m. on Friday. And initially there was no moves, Matthew. I mean, were you worried when you were seeing that potential free agent targets were going off the board left and right and the Phoenix Suns remained silent?
Not too much. You know what I was actually pretty excited about is a lot of the teams I dislike, like the Mavericks and the Spurs, they weren't really adding too much. So it's more like me watching the other teams to make sure they don't get any better. And then a lot of these players going out east, which was pretty nice to actually make me a little bit more calm. But as the Suns were not making any moves, I wasn't too crazy. I wasn't going too crazy like a lot of people on Twitter. I was just being calm and I was, waiting to see what was going to happen. So I trusted them. And how about you, Matt? Was it driving you nuts or what?
A little bit. I mean, it was like watching your brothers and sisters open Christmas gifts that you wanted, and you have to just sit there around the Christmas tree and wait. Like I said, my notifications were on, and I'm just, ready for everything to kind of go wild, and nothing went wild. I sat there and I watched the NBA Jump like free agency special show, and as it kind of was going along, I'm like, one, nothing was really happening right at 4:00, and that's understandable. Yeah. But two, as the night progressed, I'm like, the Suns aren't really doing anything. And it was kind of frustrating. And as I'm sitting there waiting for it to kind of happen. I think Dave King said something. He's like, settle down, guys. It's only been like 12 hours. And I think
that crazy, right? It was only 12 hours. It felt
like an eternity.
Yes.
So I was just like, okay, when's it going to be our time? And finally our time came when Jay Crowder was announced on Saturday morning. But prior to us acquiring Jay Crowder, who was the biggest name to go off the board that you wanted?
This has been such a blur. I feel like the past 2 days, so where I'm like, I don't know if this guy came off before or after, but Montrezl Harrell, that was before, right? Was that Friday night? Yeah. So when he signed, he got that contract, $19 million for 2 years. I'm like, what? This is like the number one guy I wanted the Suns to get, the perfect backup, the sixth man of the year. Went to the Lakers, almost to despise, like I feel like the Clippers for their effort in the bubble of not trying to win a game after going up 3-1. So I feel like that's the reason he signed with the Lakers. But that was a guy I wanted, especially for the money. Like the money itself was perfect, I thought. A good replacement for Baines, who still has not yet. Oh, I'm sorry. He actually did make a decision while we're at dinner. Yeah, He did sign with the Raptors. But so we all knew he was going to leave. So this is who I wanted to back up DeAndre Ayton. I know we have a lot of help at the 4 and 5, but this would have been the perfect replacement for Baines, and he was out the window.
Yeah, and I'm in the Danilo Gallinari camp. I was sitting there waiting for, to hear the word that Danilo Gallinari was at least in talks with the Phoenix Suns. And because, salivating over that lineup, you think of it's like DeAndre Ayton, Danilo Gallinari, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul. I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, you get goosebumps just thinking about it. And then I heard that he signed with the Hawks, and he did a 3-year, $61.5 million deal with the Hawks. I'm like, yep, that was not Phoenix Suns kind of money. So, unfortunately, he's somebody who was clearly out of our price range. And that's what I was kind of wondering as free agency was going. I was really taking a look at the contracts and seeing what those numbers were and seeing if it's something that either James Jones maybe tried to make a move and these guys had priced themselves out of the market, or if these were guys that James Jones just didn't have any interest in, knowing that they were out of our reach financially. Another guy that I was kind of interested in and hoping, against all hopes, who would join us was Goran Dragic. And Dragic.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
How great would it have been if he came back for a third stand? It would have been perfect.
Everything's changed. Usually I was against that, like bringing in the older guys from the past, but everything's changed for the better. And Dragic just fits what's going on now. So him coming back would have been perfect. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry. So
no, but he was literally was the first person off the board. Like right when 4:00 hit Arizona time, it was Dragic going back to the Heat for 2 years, $37.4 million. I think the second year is a team option. But he got paid. He got paid. And the Heat are doing what they should be doing. They're bringing him back for a year with that team option, knowing that Giannis is going to technically be available next year because he still hasn't signed his Supermax with the Milwaukee Bucks. But he was the first one, and like right away, my hopes were, kind of like, oh, damn it. Okay, that's how this is going to go.
Yeah, and plus there's another guy too, Jeremy Grant. That's a guy we always talked about too. He got paid big bucks, but he honestly was one of the guys that I wanted the Suns to get, but they didn't. The guy we're going to talk about next, and Jay Crowder, it's kind of like, I would rather maybe have Jay Crowder on his contract rather than paying Jeremy Grant what he got paid.
Agreed. No, completely agreed. And let's go ahead and bring up the financials on Jay Crowder because he was brought in by James Jones on Sunday morning. 3 years, $30 million, so $10 million a year, completely affordable. the kind of guy you want to add to your team, I think. So what are your thoughts, Matthew, on the Jay Crowder signing?
I was actually excited. I kind of forgot he was there a little bit. I know everyone kept throwing out what was left, but at first going into this, I was like, yeah, maybe. But by the time everyone was gone, who we just spoke about, even Bertans, when he was gone, I was like, you know what? Jay Crowder would be nice. And it happened. And I think this guy's perfect fit. I've never been the biggest fan of his because he was never flashy or anything, but he knows how to play ball. And he knows how to play ball. I feel like with this group, give them a month. He's going to fit right in. Maybe he's a starter. Maybe he's not. That's the best part is I feel like we have him, Sarge, Cam Johnson, rotate those guys, different set of skills in a way. But he's a perfect fit for this team, man. I think defensively, too, his rating last year in the 21 games played in the bubble, he had 111.3 rating, which was way up there with everybody else. But yeah, he wasn't really flashy, but who was flashy was Kelly Oubre. But this guy, I feel like we're getting with $10 million a year. Jay Crowder, 3 years, but years don't really matter. Was that a burp? Did somebody just burp? Who just burped out there?
Yeah, my bad. It's one of those Coors Banquet beers, buddy.
But yeah, so I mean, he's awesome, dude. I think that he's gonna fit right in, and I think, like I said, after a month, I feel like he's gonna be on the same page with this team, and he really can fill what Kelly Oubre. Okay, so my whole thing is with Kelly Oubre, great player and all, but I feel like Jay Crowder will come in and he's going to be more focused and he's ready to win. Like a lot of these guys, he's ready to win a championship. He's not an elite player, but he's that good role player that the Suns need.
Yes.
And I don't know if I really want to see him as a starter. I think maybe off the bench would be great. But I mean, if it comes to the point in the season where he's playing the best, and yeah, put him in at the 4. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. When I first heard Jay Crowder, I agree with you. I'm not a big Jay Crowder fan, nor was I ever a really big Chris Paul fan. And it's not because I didn't like these players and their games. It's because they weren't flashy. They're more the grinder type of player who I just didn't really enjoy because whenever we play them, they'd kill us. Chris Paul, he scratches and claws and bitches and moans his way to where if you're the opposition, it's annoying. And Jay Crowder's the same kind of thing. He's somebody who can guard your guy in the low block. He can guard the perimeter, and he has the ability to really just kind of wear your guys down when he's playing defense to where on offense, you're not getting that same desired result. And I think you really hit on something that's important there. Kelly Oubre has never really played within the confines of the offense. I forget who put it on Twitter the other day, but it was fantastic. They said, can't wait to watch Stephen Curry pass Oubre the ball, run to the 3-point line, waiting for a wide open pass, just to see Kelly Oubre like driving to the basket. It's like he kind of is a free-flowing, fun, do-it-yourself kind of guy. And when you need somebody who needs to be a role player within your offense, you're not going to get that in Kelly Oubre. You will get that with Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder is somebody who, as you mentioned, he had a really good performance in the bubble. He was traded from Memphis to the Miami Heat last year. And when he played with Memphis, of the 45 games he played in, he started 45 games. Now, when he played with Miami, he started 8 of the 20 games. You saw him score actually 2 points more per game coming off the bench than he was as a starter when he was with Miami. 44% from downtown when he was with Miami, only 29% when he was with Memphis. So, I mean, he was having kind of some challenges as a consistent starter. And I think that, that's a question I got for you, Matthew. Do you think that he's somebody who starts with offense, or is he somebody who's coming in off the bench?
My prediction is he starts the season, him or Sarge. I think we go back to the basics where Sarge or him, if Sarge comes back, which I feel like he's going to. I feel like he's the next piece we'll talk about it later, but I think him starting, Crowder starting would be fantastic. But then I feel like Cam Johnson will probably come in maybe after a couple weeks of the season and just outplay him for that role, which would be great. But I feel like if Cam Johnson's doing good off the bench, Jay Crowder's okay at the 4, we already have such a great starting lineup. Just keep it that way. We don't need to have Jay Crowder come off the bench and then Cam lose his role, lose his identity coming off the bench. But I think he's going to start the season, and I think he'll probably lose it to Cam Johnson, to put that at short.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that he starts at the 3, Bridges will start at the 4. And I think that it's just going to kind of be playing that chess match game. It's whoever had the better practice. That's who James Jones is going to do. And he's going to create that competition. And that's why the Jay Crowder being the number 1 transaction outside of obviously the Chris Paul trade, but in free agency being kind of where James Jones pushed the majority of his chips in is such a great acquisition because he is a grinder, because he is somebody who is going to push his fellow teammates and he's going to challenge them. He's an 8 or 9 year vet. He's somebody who has played in many a playoff game. He was in the NBA finals just last month with the Miami Heat. And he's somebody who is going to take these guys who are younger than him and push them and try to make them as great as possible. And also with that depth, now you have more opportunity to ensure that if and when injuries do occur, that you have that depth. And that is what's unbelievably key. I go back and I continually am thinking about last season. And one of the biggest challenges we had last season was depth at certain positions when injuries occur. When DeAndre Ayton and Aaron Baines were both injured and you're stuck with Frank Kaminsky and Czech Diallo, I'm sorry, you're not going to win those games. And the same thing goes for the wing position. Now, granted, last year we had Kelly Oubre, but when he went down, we had Cam and we had Mikal Bridges. So we had the ability to kind of throw some guys in there who could be serviceable and showcase to us that they were more than serviceable, especially in the bubble. Jay Crowder is just going to add right into that culture. And, you look at the Jalen Smith draft pick, you look at Jay Crowder, just hardworking guys, hard-nosed, put your head down, easy to coach guys. And I think that's what James Jones has built as this culture, and that's the definition of it. And you go back a few years and you look at Ryan McDonough, there was no ever definition of what that culture was. That was always the continual complaint with the Suns. Well, who are they? Exactly. What are they? Are they a defensive team? Are they a shooting team? They are so much more now.
Yeah, and I think the Suns before were just they were a team learning from nothing. It was basically Booker, hey, I have a shot to be the face of the franchise here in Phoenix, so I'm going to put all I have into this franchise. The rest of the team is just complain about a bunch of stuff, complain about the coaches, complain about no one teaching me anything. But that's the way it was. Now it's just you see these guys probably coming to the practice facility already. They're going to be looking at each other let's get down to business. I feel like this team just knows what to do in the right spots. You have the guy we're going to talk about next in Carter, Javon Carter, who he's younger. This is going to be his 4th year, I believe. Yep. But he is seriously going to learn so much. But he already knows so much about the game. Was that another burp?
No.
They're burps. Okay. Oh
no, I
might be hearing things. Dude.
I feel sorry for anyone who's listening to the podcast. If I did burp, I didn't even note it. Jeez, I'm such a trashy son of a bitch. Yeah, man, Carter did.
Yeah, but Carter's going to learn, but he's already knows so much about the game. He almost was in control of that second unit in the bubble, but to continue from that, learn from Chris Paul is going to be fantastic. But yeah, these guys are going to be ready to play, man.
Now, before we get on to Javon Carter, I just got to ask you, is this a clear win for James Jones in free agency, knowing that so many other names were off the board by the time Jay Crowder's name came up?
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's you watch Bertans, Jeremy Grant, and then my favorite. Well, Harrell was the one that really kind of crushed it for me. That was kind of sad not to get him, but for the money we got Jay Crowder, that was nice. I think he won that.
Is Jay Crowder a poor man's Montrezl Harrell? I think he's better.
I feel like he's a poor man's. Who was it that I was thinking about the other day? Oh, I forget. But yeah, I can see that. I think Harrell can maybe get above the rim a little bit more, but
yes,
I can kind of see that. I think he's. Yeah, I don't know. You yelled it. I keep trying to remember who I was thinking about, but I totally forgot. So forget it.
What do you think of the contract?
I think it's good, man. But the years, like I said earlier, the years don't really matter. I mean, maybe you give him the 3 years to make sure he thinks he belongs, even though that's what we gave Ricky Rubio, the 3-year contract, to be hey, here's 3 years. We want you part of this future in a way. I don't know if he cares because he's starting to go from team to team to team. But I think it's a good amount of money too, and especially for 3 years, it makes him feel like he belongs here.
Yeah, and he knows he's going to be part of this culture moving forward. And again, those 3-year contracts are something that I think are kind of the sweet spot for NBA players because after 2 years, it becomes a sexy contract. You can trade that for it's like Kelly Oubre, the $17 million contract for 1 year is something that was an asset. It was just a little too heavy. You had to move it. Whereas with 10 mil, you have a little bit more flexibility in there. Raymond Gonzalez in the Facebook chat said, would you compare Crowder to PJ Tucker? I would. I think that's actually a much better comp than Montrezl Harrell because Montrezl Harrell doesn't shoot the ball at all. And both Crowder and PJ Tucker are physical players who like to shoot the 3 ball, can rebound and play bigger than they are. Because Jay Crowder's 6'6", and I when we got him, I looked at. I'm like, oh, he's only 6'6". I always felt he was 6'8". But maybe that's
But PJ Tucker, I feel is a little bit more physical. I feel like he owns the paint a little bit more. He pushes that big booty around more than what Jay Crowder does. But yeah, I can see the comparison.
The last thing I wanted to talk about Jay Crowder is, me personally, I think it's a clear win for the Suns. Most notably because he chose Phoenix over Dallas. This wasn't a trade. This was free agency. He had an opportunity to look at a plethora of different teams, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to go play with the Phoenix Suns. You look at some of the different sites. There's one that I like. It's called basketballrealm.com. He was also interested in going back to the Heat as well. You know, he could have gone to the Heat. He could have gone to the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Mavericks. He chose Phoenix. And again, it's another valuable side, note to the whole free agency thing is we are going to start to see people be interested in what's going on here. You start to look at how this roster is built out, and we'll touch on this a little bit later. You're going to bring some people if you bring these kind of guys. Obviously, one guy that is now back with the Phoenix Suns that I think everybody's excited for is our man, Jevon Carter. Okay, our beloved C4 is back, baby. And he's the kind of guy you want in your locker room. You know, there's a reason Austin Rivers is with the New York fucking Knicks now. It's because no one wants a low-character guy. And I'm pleased that James Jones recognized this and made it a point to bring him back. Do you think that this signing was a foregone conclusion? Or do you think that there was a little bit of wiggle room for Jevon Carter?
No, I think this was going to happen all along. I think that it would have been a bummer for Phoenix Suns fans, right? This would have been terrible if he were to leave, because how do you replace this guy? I feel like he's going to learn so much from CP3. He's evolving into a much more playmaking point guard. I know he's not really there yet at all, but you can kind of see it, like I was saying in the bubble. But I feel like he's going to learn so much from CP3 and like the best guy to back him up and just run the second unit, I think. And a fan favorite by far, someone that I feel like got a good contract for him and also for the Suns as well. And it's a longer contract, 3 years. So it's like you kind of belong here. We want to keep you here. And it's kind of crazy how these point guards, we had such a hard time before. And now it's just like we're upgrading by keeping Jevon Carter. And then we upgrade Rubio, who was like the best point guard we had in a while, to CP3, who's great. But then having Jevon Carter behind CP3, learning and playing beside him or behind him, that's even better. So it's just crazy how our point guard situation is like off the wall. I don't even know what's going on anymore. This is just nuts to believe to me.
I'm just so happy because he was my favorite starting off right at the beginning of last year. I saw the grind that this guy had. I saw his aggression on defense, his ability to play full court. And I just love guys like that. I like guys who like to put in the work. You know, the fact that he wears 2 different shoes, hell, I'll say I like that too, although it kind of drives me crazy sometimes. I think I was watching a game once with your dad, and your dad's like, why does that guy got 2 shoes on? I'm like, I don't even want to try to explain.
I've never watched a game with my dad, but you watched a game with him?
Yeah.
I'm just joking. Not just joking.
I'm his favorite son-in-law.
Oh, you're his favorite, yeah.
And I think you made a good point about playing behind CP3 because CP3 is a good archetype for him to learn from. Yes. Now, granted, CP3 is a gifted athlete who has elite floor vision and the ability to set other guys up for success. And that's something that Jevon Carter will have to work on very, very hard to perfect and won't nearly come close to the skill set that Jevon Carter or Chris Paul has.
No.
I mean, we just have to understand and respect that. But at the same time, to learn how he approaches the game, to see how he is a professional, to see how he talks to his fellow teammates, and to have those conversations and be in that room with him can do nothing but benefit Jevon Carter. A lot of people were saying, go get the Tyrese Halliburtons and the Kira Hayes. Yeah. We have Jevon Carter, and again, he might not showcase the athleticism that those guys did as draft prospects, but we'll see what actually happens when the games begin, because it's my thought that he'll be the first one off the bench behind CP3. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's the flow that we want too. We want Jevon Carter to come in and give us the hustle, the energy that he's been showing us. And I think to bring in like a Halliburton and like to slow down the process of learning and teaching, which is fine for these young guys that need to learn it, like we need to teach them the game. But we have a bunch of guys on the team, most of them on this team, that are just ready to play. We don't have to worry about, oh, you're supposed to be here and not there. Of course, we'll see some of those, but not as much as what we used to see for like the past 5 years. It's basically just go out. You guys know what to do. They're going to have the pace of the flow of the game is going to keep going with Jevon Carter. And that's what we needed. And that's what he did in the bubble. And we saw it sometime during the season. He wasn't as consistent, but when the team was right, he was right.
And Nathaniel in the chat on YouTube brought up, are we going to re-sign Payne? This year we won't re-sign him. He's already under contract. He had a very optimal contract. I think it's shy of $2 million this year. So he's another guy who performed very well in the bubble and will have an opportunity to learn under CP3. And between him and Jevon Carter, you're really going to have that opportunity to mix and match. And I feel like again, I don't know what we truly have in campaign. There's a reason this guy bounced around and then was out of the league for a year. Okay.
But if he, problems.
Yeah,
right?
and I think
yeah,
well that and he had a hard time with his jump shot, which he didn't have a hard time with in the bubble.
not
So
at all.
if we see that progression, that like you said, that backup point guard spot is on point, if you will. Eliakobo, that guy is going to be the last guy off the bench. If we still have a G League affiliate, he'll be down there playing. So I really think that that's how it's going to kind of play out for the Suns. Do we believe Cameron Payne is the primary backup point guard to CP3? I think Javon Carter is. I think Javon Carter is the primary.
Well, when they were playing together, Cameron Payne, I mean, his jump shot was fine in the bubble. It looked really great. I think he played a lot more too. So I think you can see him playing more of the 2 role. I'm assuming, as long as there's no injuries, I feel like he's going to be more of a 2.
Well, but on the other side of that, you take a look, and who did the Suns sign today? They brought in E'Twaun Moore for 1 year, $2.4 million. And I think that with CP3, Javon Carter, Cam Payne, Eliakobo, they needed to make this move because they needed somebody who operated more within the space as a 2 guard. You were right. Javon Carter, Cam Payne, they both kind of took their turn playing a 2. But E'Twaun Moore has actually been classified as a 2, even though he's 6'3", he's more of an offensive threat than those 2 are consistently. I think that's where, Javon Carter, Cameron Payne, playmaking ability, I'd give it like a C. Defensive tenacity, I'd give an A-. But consistency shooting, they probably get a B. And E'Twaun Moore is more of your B+ kind of guy. He's the guy who, if you need Devin Booker to come off the court, you can put him in and he can get you some points and he can do it quick. Yeah,
definitely, dude. He's a 3-point shooter. He almost shot like 40% from 3.
Yeah.
He's been a starter in the league for the Pels. So he's kind of been around a little bit, but he's a guy that started, come off the bench. He'll do either way, but he's of course not going to start for the Suns. But coming in just as a 2 or even the 1, we need the shooting, I think, too. Especially if you still have Eliakobo, I feel like that's an issue because I feel like they tried to play him maybe at the 2 too much last year, and his shot is just not that good, and his playmaking ability is a little too slow. So if he improved on that, maybe he can play the 1. But having E'Twaun Moore is nice. I don't know how much minutes he's going to get. Like, how many minutes do you think he would get behind Javon Carter and CP3?
What's that? How many minutes?
How many minutes?
It's going to be tough. It's going to have to be a rotation. Again, I think what's so important about the way that James Jones has constructed this backcourt is the fact that if anybody gets injured, because let's face it, Matthew, we love CP3. The guy's not going to be playing the whole season, man. He's not going to. It's 72 games, and we're probably going to see 60 to 65 games out of CP3.
That's fine with me.
So these other guys are going to have to come in and put in quality minutes. And I think that is why he's built this out the way that he has. Shout out to a couple of people in the chat. Vincent Stefanelli, Purdue, E'Twaun. Yeah. E'Twaun is a Big Ten Purdue guy. So always tough guys come out of Purdue, like Drew Brees. Payne is so underrated. I saw how badly he wanted to be in the NBA and prove him wrong, and that's what he did, and that's why he's still on this team.
That's his thing, dude. It's because he has a chance with Monty Williams out. He has an opportunity to come in, and Monty really likes him, and I feel like it's just his attitude towards the game before, but now he realizes things, so it could be a good story. I hope so.
And I think one of the other reasons that E'Twaun Moore was signed is the fact that he is a veteran. You take a look at this roster now, and along with Jay Crowder and Chris Paul, Moore is the only other Sun who's over 30 years old on the roster.
Yeah.
And he recognized, he's like, I do need to bring in some form of veteran presence, some guys who have had some success in the NBA. And E'Twaun Moore has definitely done that. Yeah, like you said, for his career, okay, and mind you, this guy's a 9-year NBA vet. He shot 39% from downtown. So, I mean, the guy can shoot from deep. Now, granted, he doesn't shoot a ton from downtown, but he still has the ability to provide that offense that we're going to need at times. The other thing you have to remember when you look at this roster is not every guy plays all the time. You're going to be doing 8 to 9 man rotations. You need that depth to help us with injuries. And I'll go back to last season. What killed us was our depth because we were so injured. I mean, I've never seen a team. I've never been more happy for a Phoenix Sun team just to have it all taken away from our grasp with injuries. Everybody was injured all the time. Knock on wood, Devin Booker was the only guy who wasn't really injured last year. Everybody else sat out with injury. Rubio was out. Baines was out. Saric, was hit and miss. Kaminsky was out. I mean, everybody was out. So the reason you have all these guys and you create this depth is to ensure that you're not giving up games just simply due to injury. And I think that bringing in E'Twaun Moore assists with that.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, there's...
Is it a motorcycle?
That's a big one. Yeah, wow. That was a big one, man.
Drag racing.
Yeah, he does. What I love, though, about how he is older, but the guys we still have on this team, God bless Kelly Oubre, but I feel like they have like the old mind already, like Cam Johnson, Javon Carter, Mikal Bridges. Like they're just an old basketball mind where like they look like and they seem like they're prepared for anything on the court. Of course, they have a lot to learn still, but it's just like they're ready. I feel like they're going to adapt to whatever's going to happen, and they're the best available players that we had that were young to stay within this offense with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, who are ready to win a championship. So I love that part. And of course, you do have more that's been around. He's been playing for a while, but still, just the young guys. I feel like they just have that old mind. If that makes any sense, I feel like they're just more mature.
More
mature than what we've seen in the past and what the younger guys.
I think you're right. I think that you're dead right. I'm thinking back to some of our teams, when you have like Josh Jackson in the locker room, you just had a lot of immature guys on the team and not a lot of good leaders. Respect to Jared Dudley, there's only so much he could do with some of those guys back in the day. I mean, Josh Jackson wasn't the kind of guy who listened to anybody. The last guy that the Suns brought in was Damon Jones, formerly of the Atlanta Hawks and a 2-time NBA champion with the Golden State Warriors. Be truthful. Do you know who Damon Jones is?
When I saw it, I was like, who? So yes, I did not know. So I'm being truthful there. I did not know. You have to just watch this guy. But what I've seen, I mean, he's 6'11". He looks kind of lost a little bit on the offensive side by the glass, and he can definitely float when he's dunking the ball in a wide open lane. But besides that, I don't know what else we're really getting from him. I know Flex was really excited on his tweet, like a low-key signing. But, I mean, what do you think? Did you know who he was?
I knew who he was, and I knew that he was a part of those Warriors championship teams. So when I saw that name, I had to think about it for a little bit, and I was like, okay, why do I know that name? Why do I know that name? And I was like, oh, yeah, this is some guy who never played and has got 2 rings. I was like, and then I didn't know that he was in Atlanta. I'll tell you that. I knew that, he was off in the NBA somewhere. Yeah. But what I honestly think when it comes to Damon Jones is like he is Elie Okobo, or I'm sorry, Check Diallo now. That's who he is on the team. He is your backup to the backup to the backup. And if he's playing, we're seriously, in injury trouble because he's just that's what his skill set kind of is. You look at, I don't know what the actual numbers are as far as what his contract's going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be very low. But I did see somebody on Twitter, again, whenever these things happen, I go on to the Twitter accounts of the team in which these players played for. I'll go to their team Reddit sites. And somebody said after he was signed with Phoenix, he said, good luck to him. The Dubs literally tried to give him the starting center job, but he just couldn't hold on to it. Has a lot of athletic ability, but he doesn't have basketball skill. The athleticism reels you in, but never gets beyond that. So that's kind of a Warriors fan, what their perspective is on Damian Jones joining the Suns.
And I could see that too. When you just see him around the rim, or he needs to work on basically his interior presence and honestly his little floaters or anything he wants to do around the rim, because he just tries to like dunk over people or throw really awkward shots around the rim. So besides that, he's got the championship experience, right? Yeah. He's bringing the championship sweat.
Yeah, he's like, I was the last guy on the bench, man. Check out this ring. He'll be the only guy walking around with a ring in there, showing it off to Chris Paul. Poor Chris Paul, though. This guy's grinded his whole career, 14 years in the NBA.
That's why he's so worth it. If he wins here, you can't say that he just jumped on some bandwagon. It's not his team. It's Booker's team, of course, but he came here, and this is a super team. Maybe if we got another player, who knows? Blake Griffin still needs a home, maybe. I'm still not done with that. Still not over. So I'm just saying this is the team that Booker needs. And, I mean, Chris Paul, a guy who wants to win a championship, is going to do whatever it takes. Maybe he'll play all 72 games. Who knows?
You never know, man. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
It'll be nothing but productive. But the other thing I want to talk about real quick on Damian Jones before we exit that is I think this is just extra padding behind Jalen Smith, because I'm really interested to see how the Suns are going to use Jalen Smith, the rookie. I just don't know yet, because for a 4/5, the backup, I can see it. It's funny. You go around Suns Twitter, people are talking about, oh, he'll be the starting 4. It's like, come on, man. Like, look at this team we have.
I mean, he doesn't even really know. I mean, some interviews he's had where he went over film and tape of what he did on the floor, things he can work on. He doesn't even really know if he's a 4 or 5 yet. So I don't know about Chris. That's a guy with an attitude. This guy, Jalen Smith, I think he knows what he wants in life. So not a bunch of, never mind. Let's just stop there.
So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
But now that everything's all said and done, are you pleased with what the Suns have done in free agency, knowing that they're potentially not done? Are you pleased with it?
I am. The last two ads are a little bit of fillers, but we got some big names, and we got names I feel like, of course, with Chris Paul, but even Jay Crowder, where it's just like, these are players Suns will never get in the past. We would get the Trevor Ariza, who just doesn't want to be here and is way past his prime, can't contribute at all. That's like the signings the Suns used to get. So to have a guy like Jay Crowder come in, which a lot of teams were fighting for, not a lot, maybe 2 or 3, it's just nice that Phoenix is a place where these guys want to come to, and they're excited to be here, man. That means more than anything to me.
No, completely agree.
What about you?
No, I completely agree. And if you take a look at kind of the Suns roster now, you look at the guards: Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Cameron Payne, Javon Carter, Elie Okobo, Etuan Moore, Abdel Nader's kind of a float between a guard and a wing. I really can't classify him. We also have Tyshawn Alexander, who we signed on a 2-way contract.
Yeah.
Although I don't know what the purpose of that really is, because he won't play. Wings and bigs, you got Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Jay Crowder, DeAndre Ayton, Jalen Smith, and Damian Jones. So you look at this squad as of right now, and we're recording this on the 22nd of November at 8 o'clock, so anything could happen. My phone hasn't gone off with any Woj bombs, so this is kind of where we sit right now. And you look at this as compared to the team that was in the bubble. And I remember we had that podcast, and we talked about how much we love that team, and like, you talked about the 40% turnover, and would you be happy with it? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so Chris Paul is now here. Ricky Rubio, that's the replacement of that. That's an upgrade. Devin Booker, Cameron Payne, Javon Carter, Elie Okobo are all still members of the Phoenix Suns, just as they were in the bubble. Etuan Moore is your newest guy who's here. He pretty much took over the place for Ty Jerome. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson are both here. Jay Crowder's the guy who took over for Kelly Oubre. Is that a plus or a minus? That's I don't really know.
It'll be tough.
It'll be tough. It'll be interesting to see, because like we said, who plays within the confines of the system better? It's probably Jay Crowder versus Kelly Oubre. DeAndre Ayton's still here. Now backing him up instead of Aaron Baines and Frank Kaminsky, it's Jalen Smith and Damian Jones. I think we're weaker there. But we don't know, because we don't know what Jalen Smith really has. We know that Damian Jones and Frank Kaminsky will probably be a very interesting one-on-one match, because those guys are both garbage.
Yeah, it's definitely up in the air. But Jalen Smith, I feel like maybe he has a chance. He's either going to be worse than Baines or way better. I feel like it's going to be very difficult. But I feel like for him to play the 4 and 5 is fantastic, because remember the Baines starting lineup with Ayton, how terrible that was. Like,
the Twin Towers.
Stuff we don't have to worry about. I just feel like Baines just lost a step. I love Aaron Baines, but Jalen Smith, his ceiling, I feel like, is just way higher. And if we have him till the end of the year, he's going to learn so much, dude. He's ready to prepare and put in all he has. But that's basic stuff, what I just said. But what's next?
Well, but I think with Jalen Smith, there's opportunity. Okay, we know what Aaron Baines was. He's a great screen setter who could shoot the 3 ball, but it was spot up 3. Jalen Smith's going to add a lot of different versatility. He's a best in class rebounder. He can shoot the ball. He hustles. And he can come off screens even and shoot. He can turn around and shoot. So, I mean, I feel like it'll be interesting to see what Jalen Smith actually can bring in his rookie season as compared to one Aaron Baines had. But I think potentially that is an upgrade, because there's just so much more there. No one wants to say goodbye to Aaron Baines. I'm part of that camp. But clearly he wanted some money. We'll talk about his contract here. I was actually kind of shocked for what he went for. But he wanted to win, so he went to Toronto. I think that's what's interesting about this roster, and I'll bring it up one more time, is the versatility. If we want to go defense heavy, we can go Chris Paul, Javon Carter, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, and DeAndre Ayton. If we want to go shooter heavy, we can go Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, and you could put Ayton in there, or Smith if he's somebody who does a good job with stretching the floor. Yeah. So I really like the flexibility of this lineup when healthy, because you can put out different sets out there. Again, think about that defensive lineup: Paul, Carter, Jay Crowder, Bridges, and Ayton. Like, we can shut teams down for like 4 or 5 minutes at a time when we need to, if Monty Williams wants to pull that lever.
Yeah, dude, and especially if Sarge is coming back. Cam Johnson was improving, I feel like, on the defensive end. He's a little bit longer than people think, and I feel like he can really keep up with people, and on the switches and the pick and roll, he seemed like he was there. And there wasn't a lot of examples, but I feel like if he was actually switched onto a guard, he can keep up with them, which is fantastic. But besides that, it'll be great if Sarge does come back, because how are they going to mix and match Cam Johnson, Sarge, Smith, Ayton, those 4, in and out. Like, how is that going to work? And like you said, offensively, they can mix and match with that. It's going to be great, dude. I think that even with the 3-point shooting with these guys, that's crazy. That's crazy that we have bigs that can shoot. wings that can shoot, and then guards that can shoot three.
Well, that's what you
Almost
need in
all
the
of them.
NBA.
I know, but it's nuts. It's just like those seasons with the Suns where it's just like, who's going to come in and score? Who's in the game besides Booker right now that can help the Suns score? Now we have multiple guys. We'll see how consistent it is, but we have multiple guys.
Well, I think you brought up something that's very, very interesting, and that's the whole Dario Saric dilemma right now. Will Dario be back? And I honestly think that him coming back is such a key for success for this team. I was watching Suns Geek before this, and he was doing a live stream on his YouTube channel. So if you guys want to see some good Suns content, go see Suns Geek. And one of the questions they brought up was, they were talking about Dario Saric and kind of, what's his athletic ability and, kind of all the X factors that are Dario. Yeah. And, if Dario is your starter, he's going to bring everything that he has. And it's just not going to really come up. It's not going to look great because he's going against starters. But if he's on your second team and he's your sixth man, he gives the same amount of effort and he looks really, really good. And if we bring him in as another versatile wing who can potentially play five if we really want to go small ball, the Suns get really, really interesting. So I really hope that they bring back Dario Saric. Some Mugshot Gaming said they may be holding off on Dario just in case there's a good sign and trade offer. That could be true. I know that George Hill, somebody that a lot of people have talked about and said, if there's a good sign and trade opportunity to get George Hill, that'd be really good to kind of fit him in as that 2/3. But man, I would love to have Dario back. I am a huge Dario fan. I think he's great for the locker room. You got to have the hustle guys. Jay Crowder, hustle guy. Jalen Smith, from what all reports say, hustle guy. Dario Saric, the king of the hustle guys.
Yeah, and dude, what have we been talking about since last season? Dario coming off the bench. That's what we need. That's what we want. And what cures that, especially if Saric is kind of like a little bit butthurt from coming off the bench again, it would just be winning, buying into the system, and then him also come off the bench and having great numbers to where teams, if he is to get paid later on like next offseason or the season after, teams will see that he has potential and that he maybe could be a starter again, which he's always wanted to be. But him to buy in, if we're winning, I feel like he would be the sixth man of the year. He would be a nominee. He would have to be, especially what we saw in the bubble. But I feel like during the season, he was just so up and down, just like, I don't know if I want to be a sixth man or else I want to be a starter, but he's not going to be.
But once he embraced it, the Suns took off.
Dude. Yes, exactly. That's what we need coming off the bench.
Yes, I completely agree. So the great Dario saga continues. I'm hoping that at some point, my phone goes off and I hear that Dario's signed with the Phoenix Suns.
Last man standing.
Last man standing. Bring back Dario. Okay, we're going to do something real quick. This is a fun game that I know both you and I like to play, and this is called What Number Will They Wear? Whenever a new member joins the Phoenix Suns, Matthew and I just like to play a little game, try to guess what number they're going to end up wearing for the team. So, Matthew, with that being said, what number do you think Jalen Smith is going to wear?
I think, if this is not already taken, because I already forget what numbers everybody wears, Jalen Smith would be 24.
24.
Is that? I feel like that's somebody maybe.
Yeah, that's this guy right here.
Oh,
it's Tom Chambers. He's 24.
My goodness.
Yes.
What was Tom Gugliotta though when he played for
24?
The Suns? What a shame.
It wasn't retired yet. Tom Googs was 24 as well. So you got to pick some other than 24. Jalen Smith, what number is going to win?
25.
Where? 25. That's worn by Mikal Bridges. Come on, man.
26.
26. Okay, there you go. The last guy to wear 26 for the Suns was Ray Spalding in 2019. And before that, it was Shannon Brown. So I believe he wore 25 in college. So I think you're not far off from there. I'm actually going to go ahead and say that he's going to wear 35. Last guy, obviously, to wear 35 was Dragon Bender. So it'd be really great if Jalen Smith decided to wear 35 and we never have to remember Dragon Bender again. All right, what about Jay Crowder? This should be pretty easy.
36.
No way, man. He's worn 99 his whole career.
Yes, there you go. Perfect. Josh Jackson.
He will wear 99. Yeah, no, Josh Jackson wore in the G League. If you look at Phoenix Suns players, Ahmed Haddadi wore the highest number ever. He wore number 98 in 2013. So Jay Crowder has the opportunity to be the guy who wears the highest number in Suns history. So, and I guarantee that's going to look so nice.
He looks good at 99, though. I mean, besides like Aaron Judge, I feel like he pulls it off. A lot of people try to do it, but that fits Jay Crowder so well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Manny Ramirez, when he played for the Dodgers, he was number 99 as well. Damon Jones. What number is Damon Jones going to wear?
36.
Okay, so 36. Do you know how many Suns have worn 36 in Suns history?
I do not. How many?
A big fat 0.
Wow. You know, I'm
None.
actually I'm looking on the page right now and I'm like, yep, there's no one on 36. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to guess Damon Jones wore, with Atlanta, he wore 30. And when he was with the Golden State Warriors, he wore 15. So he's going 15 increments of 15.
Yeah.
I sound like an idiot. So he's going to be the first Sun since Stephen Hunter to wear the number 45, the same number that AC Green wore. That's my prediction right here, right now for Damon Jones. And then last but not least, what numbers Etuan Moore going to wear? That's easy.
If PJ Tucker doesn't come back, number 17.
He's going to wear number 55 because that's what he's wore his entire career.
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
Yes. And the last Sun to wear number 55.
Mike James.
Yeah.
The old 2K player.
Yeah.
2K my player.
That guy. Yeah. Wow. So there you go. You heard it. You heard it here first. That's who Matthew and I think their jersey numbers will be when they show up and they finally have their jerseys. We'll completely forget what we guessed. So I'm glad that we have it here recorded, so we have an opportunity to pull back on this.
I wrote down my 4 different answers for everybody. So.
No, you didn't.
I know.
All right.
I already forgot.
It's that time, Matthew. It's time for
thoughts. Brains.
So obviously a lot's going on in the NBA, not pertain to the Suns, but indirectly pertains to the Suns. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity during the Our Thoughts segment to talk about some of the other transactions that have occurred. There's so many. I could literally sit here and read all the transactions and we'd be out of time. But let me just start with this, Matthew. Kelly Oubre to the Warriors.
Thoughts. Prediction, actually. I love it. I think it's something that was going to happen no matter what. They've been loving him for a couple months. But I love the fit. It kind of sucks to see him on the Warriors, but I never hated the Warriors. So if he were to go to somewhere else, then that'd be sucky, like the Dallas Mavericks or like even San Antonio Spurs. But being on the Warriors is great. But my prediction for him is actually he becomes a 45% 3-point shooter. I think he's gonna be that this year.
Man, hope in one hand, shit in the other. See which one fills up faster, man. There's no way. He's gonna be a volume shooter.
No way.
Because he's gonna be a volume shooter, but he's gonna take so many, he's gonna miss so many.
I don't think so. I don't think he's gonna take a lot. Six per game is good. I think he finishes at 45%.
Not in that system. With Klay Thompson out, he's gonna be. They're gonna rely on him a lot more, and he's gonna have to shoot a ton. He's gonna shoot like 8 a game.
All right, 6 to 8. Oh, come on, two extra threes
over a course of an entire season. That's a lot of fucking threes, man. That's 140 more threes.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But honestly,
math.
45%. So I'm gonna actually write that one down besides the numbers and see.
Well, good for Kelly Oubre. It's good to see him land where he did. It sucks because he's in our division now. I will say that. But it's good to see that somebody else wanted him enough, and I know that posterization on DeAndre Ayton's coming. I know when he plays the Suns, he's gonna have that's when he's gonna put up like 16 threes is when he plays the Suns. Like he's gonna make us remember, hey, Valley boys, I'm Kelly Oubre. But he's one of those guys I'll always root for. I really liked Kelly Oubre on the team, and
that's what's so different.
It's just I wish he went to the East, man. I wish he went to the East.
Yeah, you're right. But do you really hate the Warriors that much? I feel like just the fit with them would be great. I mean, if he thrives in it, they're going to be a winning team this year, and I'm not going to hate that. Either way, they're winning. They're not going to be winning because he's shooting 45% from 3, or maybe they are. Who knows?
Well, the Warriors are one of those teams that have never hurt my feelings. The Suns have never really been, had a hard time with the Warriors in the playoffs because during this whole run of success for the Warriors, the Suns have been dog shit. So
yeah.
They haven't hurt your feelings. Whereas like the Lakers, the Spurs, teams like that, like I'll never truly get over. There's other teams though, obviously that got better. Let's take a look at some of the teams that got better in the West. Okay. The Lakers, man, the rich get richer. The Lakers, they're the ones who got Montrezl Harrell, which I thought was a great trade. They got Marc Gasol today. So now what they've done is they said, okay, Anthony Davis, they have those insurance. They have those insurance policies for him, and they're saying, "Hey, you could take a few games off because we got Marc Gasol, because we've got Montrezl Harrell now who can back him up." It's just, and then they didn't get Serge Ibaka. He went to the Clippers, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, the LA teams, just the rich gets richer, right?
Yeah, they're insane. They got this offseason. They got these guys because already a great team, but you really don't think of a LeBron James team to get these kind of guys. Schroeder, 6th man of the year almost. Yeah. And then Harrell, 6th man of the year. So you had those two dudes that I love. I love Schroeder too. I know the Suns probably weren't going to get him, but I've always loved Schroeder. And I think on that offense with LeBron James, It's going to be great, but also just Harold, dude. That was a steal. That was, I think, the steal of free agency, and they're going to be that much better.
And they also low-key, one that is going to work out very well for them is Wesley Matthews from the Bucks. 1 year, $3.6 million. I think that adds depth to the guard position, knowing that they've lost Rajon Rondo.
He's still around. It's crazy. Yeah. I feel like every time I see him sign with someone, I'm like, oh yeah, he's still in the league.
What do you think of the Marcus Morris contract? 4 years, $64 million. Shout out to Nathaniel Jackson in the chat for bringing that up. What do you think of that, dude?
What is that?
What
is that,
man?
Did they get to go on a date with his mom? What the heck happened?
That's $16 million a year for 4 years for Marcus Morris.
I don't understand.
Are you high?
And the joke is always, they give the money to the wrong Morris fund. But it's like, what's the wrong one? Which one deserves this much money? But I guess I don't understand it, dude.
If besides that move, they brought in Serge Ibaka. Other than that, the Clippers didn't do too much to get better, in my opinion, because they lost Montrezl Harrell. Okay.
Yeah. That's a good replacement, though, Ibaka.
It is. I definitely agree, but to do that kind of contract, that's a hard contract to sell over the next 2 years. Now, 2 years from now, 2 years, $32 million, it becomes a little bit more easy, flexible. But that's a tough one, man. I really don't understand the logic in that. Who would have known that when Marcus Morris was playing for the Phoenix Suns, that one day he'd be worth 4 years, $64 million? Jesus, Lord,
I can't even. I don't even know what to say. I really don't. That's insane.
What other teams in the West do you think got better, got worse? What are you thinking?
Well, I think the Lakers really did the best, honestly.
Yeah, which we just covered, Matthew. Jesus.
I know, but that's the one team. I don't know which other teams do you believe got better in the West, because they're the one team that really stuck out to me in the free agency.
I think, from a free agency standpoint, not combined with the draft, I think you're right. I think Sacramento got worse by losing Bogdan Bogdanović. He's in Atlanta now. Is that where he's going to end up, I think?
Yeah. Good for them, man.
They signed De'Aaron Fox to that long-term deal, so I think that that's a good move for them to shore up that backcourt, because you're going to have him and you're going to have Tyrese Halliburton. But I don't think a lot of teams in the West necessarily got exceedingly better. I feel like a lot of the spoils went to the East, right?
Yeah, I think so, and that's awesome. That's what we want to see, right? Gallinari going to.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, like these guys going to the East. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see the West get any better at all. So that's exactly what happened. I mean, the best team in the West got even better, but besides that, that's fine.
I'm going to go through some of these names, and let's see here. Christian Wood did come from the East to the West. He's with the Rockets now on a 3-year, $41 million deal. But I think Christian Wood just got his biggest payday, and he's somebody who's been overrated. He got a lot of really good highlights playing in Detroit. I mean, he bounced around for 4 or 5 years, and he had a decent, 3/4 of a season with Detroit with a lot of really good highlights. And all of a sudden, his name was the hot name. Well, guess what? He cashed in on it, and I'll be really interested to see if he keeps that up in Houston.
Yeah, what a weird team for him to go to. I think he needs more of a manageable team where he is held accountable. I don't really see the Rockets as that, unless Harden and them leave. Harden and Westbrook both leave. Westbrook's the guy, of course, to hold him accountable, but I feel like Westbrook doesn't really know what he's doing on that offense. So it's going to be very strange that they keep all that group together with Christian Wood. But Christian Wood's a guy I feel like all Suns fans wanted to get. But now he got overpaid. It's like, oh, never mind. Good thing we dodged that, right? Because I wouldn't want to pay him that much here in Phoenix.
No. I mean, again, you talk about 3-year deals, okay? So you just got Jay Crowder on a 3-year deal for $10 million a year, and then Christian Wood got one for almost $14 a year. Okay, I'm a much more of a fan of a guy who's going to fit in with the confines of your offense versus a guy who's out there trying to highlight dunk on everybody so he can get make as much money as possible.
Exactly, dude. Well, he got his money. He got paid, and who knows how that Rockets team is going to actually pan out going into next year. He might be the best player on the team. Who knows?
Well, we'll see. I mean, they still have some pretty big names there that they've yet to dish. But I think that, you take a look kind of across the NBA, and a lot of shock, I'd say. I didn't see Danilo Gallinari or the Hawks being really big players at all. I knew that they had a lot of cap space. But they really flexed with that cap space. They got Rajon Rondo. They brought in Danilo Gallinari. I mean, I think they did a really good job bringing in some of the bigger names in an effort to kind of buffer everything around that Trae Young window and try to win now.
Yeah, because he's a player I feel like you can now. I mean, it's his 3rd year. He's going into his basically not his best year, but you're going to know what he is as an NBA player. So you got to surround him now. You don't want him to be unhappy. It's kind of like the Booker treatment. You don't want him to be unhappy. So you got to surround him with these kind of players. And it was a shock, but how many more years can they go knowing that Doncic, they traded Trae Young for Luka Doncic? So you got to kind of make yourself not a championship contender, but a contender in a way to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I feel like they kind of did that here, especially with the Bogdanovich trade. That was out of nowhere too. So I love this team getting better, dude. I love these teams in the East that sucked, and now they have a purpose, and I want to watch them next year, especially the Hornets. The Hornets themselves getting Gordon Hayward. I know they overpaid.
Gordon Hayward.
They may be overpaid, but man, he got 4 years for $120 million, but I feel like that's a great spot for him.
Well, and then you have obviously LaMelo Ball playing there as well,
Exactly,
they re-signed Dwayne Bacon, who's somebody that I was a little bit high on. So it's just interesting to kind of see, these are going to be really good league pass teams to watch. And the fun thing about the East teams in the East is those are the teams that, when you get off work, when it's 4:30, you come home, you got league pass on. Those are the teams that are playing because they're always on the East Coast, obviously. So these are actually going to be fun to watch. And that's been, if you have league pass or you live on the East Coast, these have been really tough to watch for a while. So this could be fun watching these teams and seeing how these experiments kind of work. Again, I think the difference between a lot of these, and granted, I'm not a fan of any of these teams extensively. I'm a Phoenix Suns fan through and through. So obviously I've analyzed this roster up and down, and I know, and I can see James Jones' plan. And you can kind of see how it fits together. And I don't know if these are fits, bringing in Bogdanovich and Rajon Rondo, and you look at what the Knicks are trying to do, and they're bringing in Elfrid Payton, and they got Nerlens Noel, and they got Alec Burks, and they brought in who did I mention earlier? Austin Rivers.
Rivers.
They literally, it's like you're like, what are you trying to do now? Again, I haven't analyzed this roster, but like for me, it just looks like they have the bottom of a pot, and they're just like trying to scrape the shit off the bottom of a pot and put it together. And they're like, here you go, eat that, Knicks fans. We got Obi Toppin. So I mean, it's really interesting to see how these kind of cultures are going to try to produce winners.
Yeah, you're right, dude. And I think that the Knicks can do whatever they want. It's fine. But I love how the Nets got Joe Harris back, so that's good. But besides that, I mean,
well, Vincent says it in the chats. Celtics extended Tatum for huge bucks, and they got Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague. They got rid of Horford. They brought in Tristan Thompson. They got Jeff Teague, which is a quality backup. It'll be interesting to see what the Celtics do as well. Good. Pay Tatum all that money. It's not worth it, in my opinion.
And the best part of this is Josh Jackson's. He's finally out of the West. We don't have to worry about him anymore, man.
Yeah, who picked him up? Yeah, he went to Detroit as well. Yeah. That's right.
I forgot he was a free agent.
Detroit and their dumpster fire sightings. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's it for our thoughts. Real quick, do you want to hit a couple mailbaggers and then we'll get out of here?
Yeah, we got time.
Yeah, we got time. Thank you. Thank you for approving. Remember, you can email the show sunsjamsession@gmail.com, or you can visit sunsjamsession.com and fill out the form there. Or you can always hit us up on Twitter @sunsjam. I did have a question from ForceMaster76, and he was asking about should the Suns pursue a Baines for George Hill sign and trade? And obviously, Baines is now gone. Baines officially signed with the Toronto Raptors. I believe it's 2 years, $14 million. Is that what it ended up being? 14.4?
Yeah. I know it was 7 something per year.
Yeah, so. It was interesting. So obviously that we won't discuss kind of what Force Master was saying, but I did want to save the Aaron Baines talk for this segment right here. It's interesting because Aaron Baines only went for $7 million. And I know that we had talked about multiple times throughout our browsings and thinking about what he's going to do and how much we thought he priced himself out of the market, right?
That's what we thought. We thought he would get overpaid by maybe someone that's a championship contender. I know that the Patriots, the Raptors are, of course, a championship contender like always because that team's dominant. Fred VanVleet went back to the Raptors, which is awesome. Yep. But that team, Serge Ibaka leaves, so you bring in Aaron Baines, a perfect replacement. It does suck to see him leave. I just don't know how much more we would get from him this year if he were to stay with the Suns. And I feel like we would have had to pay at least $15 million to keep him. That's why I didn't think the Suns were going to get him. Now he only got paid $7 million. So that was kind of strange. Yeah.
I mean, obviously he wants to go somewhere and win. He's at the back end of his career and he wants to win because I guarantee the Suns could have probably offered him something close to that, or at least, kind of extended a deal out if he really wanted to stay here. So, good luck, Aaron Baines. Another guy we'll be rooting for. And I'm glad you're in the East because I can root for you even harder. So congrats to him. Another one from Twitter. This comes from @RO Benton, and he said, "Should the Suns pursue Jeremy Lin?"
I don't think so, but my favorite spot for Jeremy Lin is the Oh my God, the Brooklyn
The New
Nets.
England Patriots.
I was gonna call them the New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets.
Brooklyn Nets.
Jeez, it's been a long freaking day.
Back to Brooklyn?
Yeah, I think that would be cool for him to go back to Brooklyn though, with Steve Nash and that crew. I think. What is his updates though? Like, is there any updates on him and any teams getting back in? I know when he left the league and no teams wanted him, he was really upset about that.
Yes.
So I don't even know if there's any teams with interest in him.
I honestly don't. Obviously, he's somebody who he's expressed an interest in coming back to the NBA. I think that's where this news is kind of comes from. Is somebody was reading the fact that he is interested in coming back, but I don't know if there's a place for him. From a Suns standpoint, I have no interest in bringing him in. I think that with Etuan Moore and everybody else that's kind of been signed, we definitely have our guard depth shored up. Tyshawn Alexander also on that two-way contract is another guy. It's like there's just no room for him here. The last guy we need on the roster is a Dario Saric. That's exactly what we need.
That's what we need.
You look at that roster, and I'll bring it up one more time for everybody here, that you need a Dario Saric. You take a look at that roster. You look at our wings and our bigs. You look at our guards. What can truly unlock all that, in my opinion, is just somebody who plays like Dario does.
That would complete this picture.
It would.
For sure.
It would. So anything else you got, Matthew, before we get out of here today on this episode of the Suns Jam Session podcast?
I don't, but I mean, come on, what a crazy couple days, and we maybe have more podcasts, maybe Tuesday, Thursday. Who knows what's going to happen? So we'll be back.
This is true. We might be back Tuesday. We'll definitely be back Thursday. One of my favorite things about drinking these banquet beers is they got these little like quotes.
I never knew that.
Yeah, on the inside of the caps. Quietly work. Let success speak up. I think that's a perfect thing for the Phoenix Suns, man. That's how they've been going around their business. You know, James Jones is a tight-lipped individual who doesn't let a lot leave the camp, if you will. And due to that, obviously, again, you know, I'll go back to where we started. It was interesting on Friday because nothing was happening. And then once everything started happening, you realize that, you know what, this is James Jones' plan, and hopefully it'll work. I think that this team is a top 4 team in the West next year. Easy. The Lakers,
I think so too.
The Lakers are definitely number 1. The Clippers, I still want to see. I get it. You still have Paul George. You still have Kawhi Leonard. Those guys are also a year older. And their year older is different than our year older, because our year older is a young team. Again, only 3 guys are over the age of 30. We're not a year older. We're a year better. And I really think that we're going to have the ability to turn some heads this season. And I am unbelievably excited.
Like I always say, dude, these teams have to take the season seriously. Maybe the Clippers do because of what that happened in the championship, or in the playoffs, excuse me.
Yep.
But a lot of these teams will not take the season seriously. So that puts the Suns up another notch, I think.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Somebody made a good point. Thursday's Thanksgiving.
Oh, my God.
So it looks like we're doing one on turkey night.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Actually, Thursday night, you know what, Jamsters, I do have plans for Thanksgiving that night. I totally forgot, but we'll see what happens.
Well, maybe it'll be Friday then. Jeez.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. It is a holiday, so
yeah. Iverson vlogs in the chat. Thanks. I'm pretty sure that's Thursday. Yeah. Oops. Holiday season. Everything gets a little crazy. So we'll figure it out. But until next time, thank you, Suns Jamsters, for hanging out with us. Remember to follow us on Twitter. I'm at Darth Voida. He's
at Matthew Lissy.
The podcast is at Suns Jam on both Instagram and Twitter. If you're listening on the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network, make sure you hit subscribe, you rate and review. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe as well and hit the little ring ding ding ring dong ring ding dong ring a ding 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 dong. So hey, all I gotta say is
what up, fellas?
What up, fellas? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I got a whole new banquet beer with my name on it, and I'll try not to burp while I drink it. Take care, everybody.
All right, fellas, go home. I love your family.
Amen. Take care.